All right, guys, today we have a special guest that is returning in the house. She was quite the hit last time, and the fans fell in love with her story, especially you fellas out there. We're talking about the one, the only beautiful and talented Tina Torres.
Thank you. I like that.
How you doing today, Tina?
Honestly, I'm doing fantastical.
That's great to hear. We got so much to get into. So since the last interview, it seems like you've been going through some things with all the posts on Instagram and Threads. It seems like your frustrations with the music industry have really shown. Can you talk about that?
Yes. Well, first and foremost, I have to say I've come to a realization recently, and that is that this certain frequency that I talked about fusing with my sound years ago, because I was like, oh, this is going to be a hit. We had this trap 808 going on. Sure enough, it was a hit. But I have come to realize today that that's actually a frequency that I'm now calling it the frequency of poverty, and it's actually blocking money flow to people.
Right. So you were talking about actually getting back into ice skating, right? Too, because you were saying that was your first love.
Skating was definitely my first love, and I'm gonna get back into lessons, like not to like compete or anything, but just for the love of it, just to be on it. It's like super therapeutic for me. But I'm just not liking the temperature of not even the independent artist game right now. It just
Mm.
it's like the independent artists, I view them as a consumer. You are not a producer, you're a consumer today.
Why is that?
Because you're having to purchase so many things. One, you're not making money on any of these streaming platforms, right? Barely. You're not having to pay for marketing, promotion, press, whatever, this and that. Pay for whatever social media services you need and all of that. And on top of the music production, on top of the video production, on top of all that. And it's at this point, it's just a major expense.
Yeah, definitely. And like you were talking about on these streaming platforms, like Spotify even said, like if you don't get this certain amount of streams, you're not going to get paid at all, basically, which is
Yep.
crazy.
I know.
So with all these things that you're going through, it also seems like you're kind of going through this spiritual journey, and it's been a lot of growth as well.
Absolutely. My spiritual journey started in 2012, the end of the Mayan calendar, when people were saying this is the end of the world as we know it. It was like I had this awakening where I came out of Christianity and into now just what I call a higher perspective where anyone and everyone can tap into because we come from this. So it's just I'm here and I'm just like I'm going through it.
So you've been most critical of hip hop recently, right? And you've been catching some backlash and everything. What is it about hip hop that has gotten you so frustrated, especially recently?
Well, one, the continuation of poverty that I see. So it's like music that's about get this money, right? But nobody is actually getting money. And I see it on all ends. We're fooled by celebrities and that whole industry, and it's a facade, it's an illusion. They're not making the kind of money we think they are. Now you have a major artist that's on the label now. The label's making money off of brand deals. They're doing shows or whatever. They have a 360 deal, so and social media views. You know what I mean? So people like Cardi B, I think Atlantic is only recouping from her, like putting her getting paid to do certain shows. Mind you, she's never headlined her own show, but she's a Grammy-winning artist, right? And so, but they'll make money off of social media. That's why they put her out. They tell her to save a bunch of stuff on social media because that's going to come back, and they're going to make money off of that.
So you're saying that like even these large artists that are flashing all the money, like the brick phone thing, all this stuff, they're not really making as much as we think they are.
Yeah, and not on the music solely. Now, if you get into Hollywood and like I said, you get brand deals, and that's why they're promoting products. That's why they're doing all this to actually make money. So it's we here as independent artists, we're just focused. We just want to get into the music. We just want to do the music. But when you get there, now you have to do these other things in order to recoup money for your label.
Right. And then that goes into the whole 360 deal, which, they're getting a piece of literally everything that you do.
Yeah. And before the digital era, they were making money on hard copies. You know what I mean? Like they're making money, but now that's gone. So where's the money coming from?
Absolutely. Yeah, they were the music industry was way more profitable before all the pirating of music and all the digitalization of everything. And
Hmm.
it's just been crazy changes, and people have had to make adjustments, especially in the business side. So it's crazy to see now how literally they own your name and they own everything that you do, pretty much.
Pretty much, it's your entity, your soul.
Right, right. So you've gone on to say, right, that hip hop is the genre of oppression and poverty, and we need to throw the entire genre out.
Okay,
And you've okay, go ahead.
I've been thinking about this for like a week because I'm like, man, like we can't throw it out at this point. You know what I mean? We have to, even though I feel like I just came onto some new information that I was not even privy to until like 2 weeks ago. And that is that I'm going to say this because it's a possibility that the CIA started hip hop. And now keep in mind, you had, and I talk about Boogaloo, right? I think we talked about that in the last interview, right? Boogaloo was the genre of R&B, soul, Latin music that came out of the streets of New York. It was the kids, like you had the Puerto Ricans, you had the blacks, you had the Jews, you had Italians, all coming together with this Latin influence, right? And then on the streets, they were starting to spit, they were starting to rap, and then they would play, rhythms on boxes and things like that. And then the government gets a hold of movements, community gathering, especially young people that can make moves and waves. And I believe, they started to infiltrate it then and then presented themselves to people like Africa Bambaataa and KRS-One. Now, keep in mind, when hip hop first came on, it was all major chords, right? It was all bright sounds. It was up. It was like, let's party. All of a sudden, you hear these minor chords, right? And that's more like the sound of war, an uprising. And I say it was a trick of the mind and kind of controlled opposition, because as you think you're talking about all the oppression that you're coming from, an uprising, you have all these minor chords and this frequency of war. And it's actually war against yourself that they implemented. So I love hip hop. You know what I mean? I'm not going to I know I say things, especially when I type, like I'm very emotional. So like I'll make a statement, but I have to, in order to like really understand me and hear my heart, you have to hear me elaborate and expound on it.
Right.
And go ahead.
So like those are just like kind of like snapshots of what you're saying, but like to really fully understand the message, you have to elaborate and feel the vibe, the tone of what you're saying, versus the text can be misinterpreted a lot of times, right?
Exactly.
And as far as the CIA, that whole thing, have you come across actual evidence of this, or is this just kind of like your idea of what you think happened?
The evidence is the proof that we have here. We see the results of hip hop, right? On top of it, there is an intuition and a gut instinct. And I tell people this, there's a knowing inside of you that you don't need to read something in a book to actually know. Your intuition and your gut instinct will give you more of the truth than reading any kind of information that's been written down. Will.
In our last interview, we spoke about how some people have said that hip hop has been destructive to, people of color and to those communities, right? And it's been worse for people. I mean, some people have even gone as far to say that it's worse than slavery was. I mean, what do you, is that like what you're saying, that it's been destructive for people of color?
I mean, look at it right now. Look who's at the top. We have Fat Joe introducing Sexy Red. You know what I mean? Like, is that what we want our young girls to be like? Is this the ideology? F my baby daddy? You know what I mean? With a pregnant woman with her belly exposed, bare feet all the time on stage. It's just this image of poverty, it is the image of oppression. It is the image of low vibration.
Right. And did you see that video? It kind of went viral a little bit. It was like a dance teacher that was talking about how they were trying to teach these little kids, but they don't want to listen. They don't want to hear anything. All they want to listen to are songs like Pound Town, like all this like really inappropriate stuff when you really think about the age of the children, right? And she was vocalizing like her frustration that even the parents aren't stepping in to do anything. They're just like, oh, teach my kid, but I'm not going to do anything to help you because I'm allowing them to do whatever they want and speak however they want.
Who was saying that to parents?
It was a dance teacher that was talking about their frustrations and
Oh,
saying that the kids are wanting to listen to music like Pound Town and all these other songs that are just about sexualization, and they can't get the kids to listen. And when they try to talk to the parents won't do anything. They're just like, well, you're the expert, you're the teacher, you're supposed to be able to reach the kids. I'm not going to
word.
do anything basically to implement to help. And so the
Mhm.
teacher was just really frustrated because it's like, what am I supposed to do? And I think that she actually went into tears because she was so frustrated.
I would too. Oh my God. I mean, and this is my generation that's having children right now. You know what I mean? So we were raised on hip hop, you know? And I had to realize at one point, I'm like, I had to wake up and I'm like, what am I putting inside my mind? Why does this occurrence, why does this instance keep happening too? Multiple factors, but I'm like, a major factor is this music that I just keep embedding into my subconscious.
But wouldn't you say that over time, because when hip hop started, we had very powerful messages, with fight the power and just all these different things. And over time, it seems to have gone downhill. And after like Tupac and
That,
after
that
everybody, it just has gone a different
that's
route.
what I'm saying. It had to be a gradual decline because they came in and you thinking you're uprising, fight the power with these minor chords, war, but it was really war waged against us.
Mm. And over time, it seems like, especially with the introduction of social media and, all these little reels and these dances and everything, that the sexualization of younger people is becoming more and more prominent.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So, with your criticism, right, it has caused a lot of issues racially, as some fans have gone at you in the comments claiming you're speaking on a black art form as a Latina and you have no say in this and you're pretty much white. You're a Karen and you shouldn't vocalize these things because you've also, in their eyes, you vocalize things that you're you're tired of blacks being racist towards Latinos, right? And then some of the comments I've seen have been brutal towards you. Like, what is the situation with that?
Now, first and foremost, I love my blacks. Okay, like that's like we are all one at the core of who we are. We are spirit, including white people. Okay. So we are first and foremost a spirit being. We possess a soul, which consists of our mind, will, and emotions. That's our soul imprint. And we simply live in a body and in a vessel. And I say things like that to trigger, to also, bring up the discrepancies that are happening. Like why do people want to tie color to poverty and oppression and this music that is keeping all of us down? Why do people and there's so much confusion about all of that and about where people come from, where people truly come from. And I don't want to get too much into that right now because people are going to misunderstand. But we all come from the very same place.
So in your eyes, you're saying that like you're coming from a loving place, obviously, because it's I know that you grew up like in the Bay and you grew up in these different areas where there was a lot of diversity. So it's, you're interacting with all types of races all the time and it's not coming from a place of ignorance, right? Yeah.
I was on this like internet reality TV show, right? And it was like I had these girls like hating on me, right? One of them was a black girl who was a cheerleader in Texas, right? So she sounds like this and she's like cheerleader. And all of a sudden now she wanted to be a rapper because it's cool to rap and all that. But mind you, this is her and she was cheerleading with the girls in Texas. Mind you, I'm in New York City smoking with my homies in the stairwells. You know what I mean? So they're seeing me as because of my skin color and I look like a white Latina. But then they'll take this black girl who sounds like this, who's been cheerleading all her life, but I've been smoking in the stairwell with the homies in the projects. You know what I mean?
So I know
So
that
it's like,
people are going to take that comment the wrong way because they're going to associate, oh, so you're trying to say that smoking is associated with black people and you know what I
well,
mean?
okay, so then why associate music with color? You know? What I'm
But in
saying
your
is,
in
culturally speaking, I am more of the culture than even this black girl was. Because she's from Texas hanging out. She was a cheerleader. But I'm, get it?
I get what you're saying. I get what you're saying. It's just racial conversations are always so hard to have. And it's tough. It's a tough thing.
Well, and that's what exactly what our government wanted to do, to divide us. Because you
Right.
get into the race thing, and really, racism really truly don't even exist. I'll tell you why. It's all a human issue at the core. We go back to true, like what all the history we've been taught in this country too is very false. So we're like basing things off of false information. We don't know how our government has been involved. We don't know the ties up there, and people at the bottom divide and conquer. And you're here to, lower mentality, thinking that your brother, the one who could help you, is against you. That's exactly what they wanted. And that's why it's in inception. That's why I don't even want to talk about it too much, because it creates inceptions, and people don't understand it. They're so programmed to believe one thing, especially mainstream media. Oh, the term, oh, we need to do better. That is actually comes from white mainstream media. White people made up that term. The people who control Complex Magazine, Source Magazine, all of these hip hop outlets and BET and all that, these are white people that control these things. So all of this ideology that's being spread throughout America that blacks think comes from them actually comes from people like William Randolph Hearst and the Rockefellers and the Vanderbilts and all those people.
It's a tough thing with hip hop because you see it's gone global, it's transcended skin color, but it started as an art form from black people. And traditionally in this country, black people have had things taken away from them. And there's a level of
First,
exploitation.
let's go back really quick. The
Okay.
history of music in New York City, right? Hip hop was actually a collaboration of blacks, Latinos, Jews, and Italians. The kids coming together in the streets. Obviously, black heavy, you know what I mean? But
Primarily.
yeah. But because of and very Puerto Rican heavy. But I like to be like, oh, we made this, we own this. Like, no, this all of our world is a collaboration of of all cultures coming together and things coming together. You have Latin salsa, you've got the rhythms that come from Africa that were brought over to the Caribbean, that were fused with European melodies and harmonies, and created this genre of music that made its way to New York City, that affected the kids in the streets of New York City. They started doing this. Next thing you know, Boogaloo came about. But then the guys at Fania, they started blacklisting the Boogaloo bands. So that music, that genre, pretty much kind of deaded itself. And so the kids had to take this to the streets, and hip hop came out of, I call hip hop the bastard child of Latin music.
Why is that?
Because Boogaloo didn't get to live its entirety. Boogaloo was a fusion of Latin rhythms and R&B and soul.
But okay, so because hip hop is a culture and there's many different elements, right? Now, the people that were there in New York during that time say that Puerto Ricans were primarily doing the graffiti and the breakdancing, while the blacks were doing the DJing and the MCing, right?
Okay,
So,
but all of it is hip hop.
but as far as
the four core elements of hip hop.
right, but as far as the actual music side of it, do you understand like why blacks would have a level of sensitivity to this when you are criticizing specifically the music portion of it?
I'm not criticizing. Well, because guess what? I'm telling people the music didn't even really come from you. The sound of the music, the true sound, was this melodic, bright, uplifting, this fusion of R&B and soul and Latin rhythms. And all of a sudden, minor chords came in. And all of a sudden, gangster rap came in. And we see the decline of it all.
So do you think that was an actual agenda, or that was a representation of the times of the people and what they were going through? Because, when you think about the crack epidemic and the things that people were enduring through the 80s and giving the birth of the more harsh sounding hip hop with gangster rap.
Sorry, say that again?
So like you're saying that hip hop declined in its message as it became more about gangster rap and these different things. But you had the eras changing, with the introduction of gangster rap and with the introduction of the crack era and everything.
Yeah, it started. Well, I mean, it was a deliberate agenda too, because the more and that's what I'm saying is at first it seemed like that's why it's psyop. It seemed like, oh, power to the people, this uprising, but it was a trick of the mind. It wasn't that, and it wasn't implemented by the people. The people just followed.
Okay. The earlier hip hop, right? We had so much about power to the people because it wasn't too long ago that it was the Black Panther movement. And of course, that was going to influence hip hop. And then the crack epidemic happened and that did influence hip hop. But you're saying that there was an agenda at the top all along for that was influencing things.
Yeah, and the people at the top, the people who incorporate the agendas, they're not just white either. We got to understand that, you know, we got to understand that this was people get paid. People need to know about the Boule. The Boule was a whole group of people came out of Louisiana that were mixed, and they were put in places of power and government to be able to implement this, what is happening now.
So when you're somewhat attacking hip hop, right? Is it about the gatekeepers specifically? The people with the agenda, or is it purely about the music itself?
It's about the frequency of the music and the content, both the lyrics that have lyrics in itself have a specific frequency, but also the music, which is actually more potent.
So do you think that people are brainwashed by what has come before them and just to think like, hey, this is the type of music that we make, the type of subject matter, so I'm just going to go ahead and do that? Or do you think they're being approached specifically by the powers that be?
Early people on, like I said, I feel like we have Africa Bambaataa, who has been accused of a lot of child sexual abuse, and we have KRS-One, who defends him to no end, but it's like, why can't you see the correlation between the two, between how it started? The oil flows from the beard down. So then you have people that follow thinking that they're joining a good movement, thinking that they're with it, but at the very, very top of this pyramid scheme, they know the real truth.
So what has the reaction been like for you since you started saying these things about hip hop as of recently? I know that there was a lot of racial conversations, but how have you been taking it?
I mean, I'm okay because I know I've done this long enough to know what I'm going to experience and the repercussions and people. Like, I get it. This is not only like I don't worry about that. I worry about the example that I'm leading for the people who do get it.
Gotcha. And do you understand somewhat from their perspective of them saying, oh, you're pretty much a white person, like you're a Karen? Like, do you understand why that narrative is being pushed?
From their end, maybe I don't understand. Maybe I speculate. One, it's definitely programming. If you use the term Karen nowadays, that's a mainstream media word. You know what I mean? That right. Means you follow mainstream media. And it has nothing to do with culture, but they again, I don't want to get too much into it because then I'll be bashed. But like we need a whole like roundtable discussion with people to really get down to the bottom of all of this.
Because I know you don't want to go too deep, but at the same time, it's like it's really interesting because especially if you grow up in New York, a lot of people view Latinos and Blacks almost as the same. Like there's a lot of love there, right?
Yeah.
And so when you said what you said about how you're tired about the racism coming from Blacks towards Latinos, I think that a lot of people were bothered by that. Is that something that you experience like frequently?
Well, yeah, especially because I'm speaking out against murder music that is talking about murdering Black people, and I'm pointing out music that is destroying not only just Black people, it's destroying everybody because a lot of people listen to music. I know young white girls that come from well-to-do families with full ride scholarships that ended up tricking themselves because they want to be cool and they want to do what the music says, you know? So it's destroying a lot of people, but I lost my train of thought. What was the question again?
Well, because the whole thing with like blacks and Latinos, there's always been a lot of love there, but with you saying what you said about there being racism towards Latinos from blacks, like I was asking, like, is that something that you experienced prior to making these comments
Oh,
about hip hop,
um,
or
yes. I mean, I have. Okay, so in the past, whenever I experience poor behavior from somebody, I just took it as human behavior. They don't vibe with me. They don't like me. But I never is like, oh, they're racist. You know what I mean? Like I just didn't have that filter. Um, but as soon as all this mainstream media stuff started coming in, and this was back in, remember when Kanye was on TMZ, it was like 2018, right?
yeah,
So
it's been a minute. Yeah.
when he was saying what he was saying on TMZ, I was like, oh my God. He was like, 400 years of slavery sounds like a choice. Now, everybody said, Kanye said 400 years of slavery. He said 400 years of slavery is a choice. No, no, no. He said it sounds like a choice. And then he was saying we need to create a new reality. And I understood what he was saying. I was hanging out with Cootie, who shot the Genius documentary, right? Followed Kanye for years filming him. And we're talking about this. And Cootie was like, Kanye's crazy. And so I'm like screaming like, Kanye's not crazy. Like I was wilding out because I took it so personal. And I told Cootie right there, I said, this country is about to turn black supremacist with the temperature. I can feel it. And since then, sure enough, we're here. And do we not know that Black Lives Matter was funded by a Hungarian billionaire, George Soros?
What made you feel like it was going to turn black supremacist? Like what made you say?
Because of the things that they were saying on mainstream media. How I could just see, I have the gift of foresight, and I could see the temperature of where it was going, which is why they let him on TMZ to hang himself.
So with you saying that, are you saying that now black people are being favored in mainstream media, or what are you saying exactly?
They are, but it's like you're fattening up the calf for the kill, you know. And I'll tell you this: even white people, the American dream that they were sold back in the 40s and 50s, they are oppressed by the system as well. And what people in the hood don't realize is that people in the suburbs are just maybe even more depressed, dealing with bigger expenses, more bills. It's still in the same fucked up headspace, but they're thinking, oh, they have this, they have a house, they got this, they're no, it's not like that. I know families, white families, Christian Quaker families, where there was incest going on, because my family's helped, countless families all over the world, where there was incest going on, where the dad was having sex with the daughter while the brother was watching. So like I can tell you all kinds of stories. So the hood, whether you grew up in the hood, whether you grew up in a wealthy family, both are still fucked up. So everybody is under this oppressive government.
So you're saying that no matter what class you grew up, there's going to be issues, there's going to be problems, and we're all being fucked over in some facet, basically.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. But, when you say something like the black supremacy and blacks are being favored in the media now, that is going to really strike a chord with a lot of people that feel, I'm in the hood, I'm being fucked over, I'm not being favored, the police corruption and nobody's coming to help us. There's a lot of different layers to it. So I don't know. You just it's kind of hard for people to accept.
Okay. That's why it's important, and more people are awakening spiritually to realize that we actually live in a simulation, and that you were given a program. You actually chose this program to be able to override, to tap into a mind over matter state, to neo state, this Christ consciousness, where we're all creating a new consensus reality, like what Kanye was saying. And so you're not where you were born, the poverty state or the rich state that you were born in is like that's irrelevant. It's now time to get out of that, to now tap into your highest potential, so that we can bring heaven on earth. And this is why I'm teaching people about money manifestation right now, and even telling certain artists, like, what are you doing this for? Are you doing this to get to the money? Well, this is actually preventing you from the money. So if you want to learn how to get to the money, just get to the money. And then we can go and make great music, wholesome music, good music that you're not popping out so often because you're trying to hustle. It's now this hustle mentality. Like they're pumping out like 3 albums a year, these independent artists. It's like, come on, man, sit and marinate. You know, the
Yeah.
best art is made when you let it marinate.
Do you think that people will interpret your words as being insensitive to their situation?
Possibly. Everybody's going to interpret it in whatever way wherever they're at. And I get that. I understand that. You know what I mean? But I'm here to plant seeds. And one of these days, you're going to evolve, you're going to grow, and you're going to remember what I'm saying. And you're going to be able to apply that to your life. So my concern is not about whether I ruffle feathers or not. My concern out here is about planting seeds and for those that have ears to hear, let them hear.
So you spoke about Coodie, right? And you had a friendship with him of some sort. And that whole thing when you were telling him, oh, this country's about to turn black supremacist, what was his reaction when you said that to him?
He took it. He let it, he absorbed it. You know, that's the kind of person he is. He won't tell you you're wrong or this and that. Like, he'll listen to you, which is probably why he could be around someone like Kanye, you know?
Right.
But the thing is, we're seeing the effects of what I said back then. We're now seeing it.
And then recently you posted some things on Threads about him and Kanye saying that he had a lot of power and he used it for his own gain. You said the industry friends that you have now don't want to fuck with you anymore. So what was that about specifically?
I mean, I didn't even know this, but like, I think it was like 2-3 weeks ago, I saw this video of Kanye like ranting. And then he was like, fuck Coodie, because on that third episode, and mind you, when I watched that third episode, I was like, why would Coodie put that in there? When Kanye lost all his motor skills and he started speaking gibberish, I was like, why would he even put that on there? You know, like that just puts Kanye in a, like, it feeds a pharmaceutical company more. It feeds Hollywood more to make everybody look at him like he's crazy. You know, but really, we know they pump these celebrities with medication, the ones who want to break out. They pump them with medication. So, you know, I've even sent him, you know, some messages, and I'm just like, yo, like, warn your friends in Hollywood. This shit is coming down.
So do you guys still have a friendship or after saying those things or?
I haven't spoken to him in a little bit. I'm pretty sure I can reach out. I just choose not to right now, you know, but I mean, we'll see if it's meant for us to connect again in the future for whatever reason, it'll happen. But at this point, I feel like I planted the seeds in him that I needed to plant, you know, because I did tell him at the time, I knew he had all this footage of Kanye and he wasn't speaking with Kanye at the time. And I was like, you have a lot of power, Coodie. You need to use it. And shortly after that is when he reconnected with Kanye. Kanye had him come out, film. He was in China with Kid Cudi and all that. And then that's when Kanye signed off on the next Netflix deal for him.
When you look at that situation, right, do you think that Coodie could have been influenced by someone higher up? Or do you think that was he made those decisions to include that clip on his own?
I don't know for sure, you know, but I was like, damn, man. Honestly, I didn't want to see that.
So you felt like that was incredibly damaging to him?
Yeah, and that was like damaging to me. You know? I'm just like, man, you know? And I'm like, I know people don't know what's going on either. So it hurts my heart.
Yeah. This whole idea that has been pushed to us that Kanye is crazy, do you think that this, like, he was crazy before, or like you think the industry and Kardashians drove to push that narrative about him, or maybe even turned him crazy?
Well, when you're funneled through Hollywood, it's gonna do something to you. What he was a bright shining light that had a lot of influence. You know, probably did sell his soul, you know what I mean? Probably did some things, but you know, sometimes people don't know what they're really getting into until, you know, things happen.
Right.
So, and then it just kind of, things happen along the way. You don't intend to end up this way. It's just like, it just keeps piling on.
Because when with what you're saying right now, right, it kind of reminds me of how, like, and I'm not saying this is about Kanye, but in general, it seems like a lot of people initially it's easy to make that first decision. What, you're going to promise me fame and money? And I'm not even really thinking about what's going to happen besides that. So I'll sign this, I'll do whatever, right? But along the way, you start to lose yourself more and more, can't recognize that person in the mirror anymore, or you start to, it eats at your soul, eats at your conscious, all the things that you did. And then it's hard to live with yourself. And then you start to kind of see these people act out.
Yeah. Wait, so I'm sorry. Ask again. I lost my train of thought.
What I'm saying is that, you know, in the beginning, it seems like it's easy to sign off on, if you're going to promise me money and fame, I'll do whatever to get out of my current situation, right? Not thinking what the future may look like as a result of me making this decision right now. And so along the way, whatever, you sell your soul, you do some things that don't really coincide with your true beliefs, but then it starts to eat at you over time. And then to, you know, compensate with that, people start to act out, and like you start to see it in the media.
Yep. And the celebrities that you see that want to break out are the ones that are having a hard time.
Right.
You know?
So you called out Lyor Cohen and Rick Rubin. Why did you pick them in particular?
Because they're, you know, two of the top dudes who are running stuff.
Have you had any personal interactions with those two?
No.
So what is it that you've heard about them that they've done that you feel is destructive to the genre of music?
One, just, I know Lyor Cohen had a big hand in Young Thug and directing him, and Young Thug is some of the most destructive music out here.
Right. And now
and he told, sorry.
No, go ahead.
And you know, before Lyor stepped in and helped him kind of mold better records, he was telling him, you know, you got to stop freestyling and you know, put hooks in there and all that. So he's like, I love what you're talking about. It's great, but now we just got to do this, you know?
Got you.
Lyor Cohen loves Young Thug talking about killing Black people. He loves it.
And Lyor Cohen is now the head of YouTube Music, right?
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, and so it's interesting. But with Rick Rubin, what did you think that he did that was so bad?
Well, I don't have any like personal intel on him. I just feel the energy. I know who he's around, and you know, guilty by association.
Gotcha.
And then you could just feel vibration and energy. I can read energy by looking at somebody on the screen.
So recently, during an interview with Ebro, Doja Cat came out and she said she's not a Satanist, right? And the rumors are annoying from the fans. What did you think about that?
I didn't know that. I didn't know that she came out and said that. Interesting. I mean, hey, if she says she's not a Satanist, then she's not a Satanist.
but you know, the interesting thing is that because the visuals in her music video are very, like, from the time that she started, like, just say like a year and a half ago, right? Like, it was very poppy. It was more, you know, a different direction. And then over the last year and a half or so, it's gotten real dark. The imagery seems like of that devil worshiping or just, you know, that type of stuff. So she's confused a lot of her fans. It seems like she's really acted out, like shaving her eyebrows, shaving her head, and just like even the makeup that she's put on and you know, going to these award shows. It's just, it seems like really outlandish. It's just out there. So it's really hard for her fans that are confused to be like, well, I don't really know what happened to you, you know?
Yeah. I think as I, in the past couple of weeks, I've had a bit of an evolution, and like, I'm able to see from a little bit of a higher perspective, and even like with that in particular, and keep in mind, so we have all these compartmentalized different facets of vibration, frequency of states, mental states that you can stay stuck in, right? So what the CIA did with hip hop. You can stay stuck in poverty, oppression. You can continue to talk about being in poverty and oppression because that's what creates more of it by continue. And then hating rich people, that creates more poverty. And then you can be in this state of anger. Oh my God, all these Satanists, they're with these visuals and this imagery and they need Jesus. What I've come to realize now is that's actually polarization. So if we look at the Hermetic principle, the law of polarity, it's really keeping you from being balanced, from your chakras being aligned, and us being able to truly manifest what we need to as higher beings.
Got you. Yeah. It's just really interesting that if those kind of things don't align with you, why you would be pushing that imagery. Because it's like, I understand art and freedom of expression, you know, and that, but to a certain extent, but you know, you're obviously pushing a deeper message at the same time.
Well, Satanists don't need to do all that stuff. What like, it's really, I think they're doing all that to polarize people and to make more money. Because think about it, if Doja Cat would just be her beautiful self, her beautiful, amazingly talented self, and it just keeps going like that, people would have maybe gotten sick of her already. But it's actually created more buzz around her, more to talk about, you know?
So do you think that the new thing in this era is to have celebrities viewed as almost being crazy, and that is what garners the attention?
Well, yeah, because people's attention is so thin nowadays, so it's a bunch of gimmicks out there.
Right. So, yeah, definitely. If anything's longer than 240 characters or longer than a minute, then it's too much for people now.
Yeah. So even though we talked about all these compartments, racism, Satanism, oppression in the hood and all that, I would like to say it's really coming out, removing yourself from all of these programs. Like I said, coming out of a place of polarization, right? Because if you think about it, all of these energies are all in the same spectrum. We're all together. We're all one, you know, but it's pulling you here. It's pulling you there. And you are the most powerful, and you can manifest the most when you are depolarized and in a centered state.
So are you saying, I know you've mentioned the Matrix before, right? Do you believe like that's an actual real thing in the sense of the way that the movie portrayed it to be? Or do you think it's just a level of programming that we've received since inception and through public education and all those things?
I do believe we live in a highly advanced computer generated simulation. But at the same token, it is very real because it is all energy, you know? So as I'm continuing to this spiritual awakening, you know, I don't have all the answers right now, but I'm just sharing with you where I'm at right now.
Right.
You know, it's removing my attention from all of these places and now just being in that centered place.
Do you think that all of this stuff is just bullshit at the end of the day that is distracting us?
Yep.
Okay. All right. Well, moving on, Diddy. Diddy has been really going through it recently. What did you think about the many claims that were made against Diddy? And why do you think that he settled within a day of the claims coming out?
A lot of us speculate that he's a big scapegoat right now. He's another big distraction from other things going on, you know? So I'm trying to get down to the bottom, like, what is it? You know, supposedly after New Year's Eve, more names on the Jeffrey Epstein list are going to be dropped, like 150 plus names.
Right. That's
you
true.
know. So I've also seen Diddy in two Freemason poses recently. One of them where he was outside his house in Miami with like one sock raised up. That's a Freemason initiation code. And then the other one was TD Jakes. You know, that's coming out. That's crazy. You know what I mean? Like, I grew up in church, like, listening to TD Jakes. I remember, like, as a kid, like, trying to fall asleep, and he was screaming. I couldn't, like, sleep in church because he was so loud. But, like, now he's being exposed for all of this. They're calling him a power bottom.
But don't you think, okay, like, this stuff, a lot of this stuff is happening behind the scenes all the time, right? And lawsuits are happening that, people aren't privy to, and people are getting paid off or whatnot. Now, for all this stuff to hit the media, though, like, it seems like he's not being protected anymore. Like, did he upset somebody that is higher up there, or like, what is going
I,
on?
I think he is being protected.
Oh, you do, even with all the public scrutiny and everything, because that's going to be attached to his name forever, though.
It doesn't matter up there. They control the courts. They control the media. They can, you know what I mean? Like, like people, their attention span is so short that in 5 years they could completely forget about it. The media could put, oh, Diddy came out, benevolence. He fed this whole country, and everybody would be like, oh my God, I love Diddy, because that's the programming of the mainstream media.
Mm.
And they'll
That's
just
true.
forget about it.
I mean, you see a lot of these things like with different actors that they've done some pretty effed up stuff, back in the day, but then over time they're beloved again. Once you start winning again, people forget easily. People forget
Yeah.
once you start winning again.
It's not about not extending forgiveness, mercy, and grace to people, but it's about the deception that's happening. Like with Blac Chyna, all of a sudden, there were these human trafficking allegations, but then all of a sudden she gave her life to Jesus, and she's, now this Christian person and now selling hair.
So you think that the disinformation hitting the news and the media is a distraction, even though Diddy's really going through it right now as far as the court of public opinion?
Yeah, I mean, he might not be going through it. You know what I mean? They're probably just like, yo, we need to use this story, blah 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 blah, or it could be his next level into,
It's kind of like that sacrifice thing that they talk about, basically.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. So it's because a lot of people feel like with him settling within one day was just like he wanted the problem to go away so fast, right? But his lawyer did come out and say that this is not an admission of guilt at all.
Really? I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I didn't know those details. I mean, we don't know for sure, but what I can tell you is I do see the initiation codes. Mainstream media usually lies. And this is why I was like, yo, why is TMZ reporting this like till no end? TMZ is lies all day. They hate Britney Spears. They hate Justin Bieber. They love Cardi B. They love the Kardashians. They hate Kanye. I'm like, what's going on? Why is this such a big story? Because like whatever they don't want getting out doesn't get out. Like, why did Beyonce and Jay-Z get publicized on TMZ for being on that document for human trafficking with Jeffrey Epstein and Harvey Weinstein, Ghislaine Maxwell, all those people? Why not? It's controlled, heavily controlled. So there's got to be a deeper reason.
And then you have actor Columbus Short, right? Who's like from like Stomp the Yard and whatnot. He came out and he said Diddy called him one night real late and asked him to come over to the Beverly Hills Hotel, and it was just him there and no one else. So like I don't know, but it's kind of weird. Like, is everyone in cahoots, or it's just like when you kick someone when they're already down, or like...
Right. It's weird. I think this is how it goes. It's like everyone in Hollywood is out for each other. Ain't nobody real friends with each other. And they all, certain people know certain secrets. You can make friends with somebody, get into the next level. You know what I mean? But then you may end up taking them out. Like, it's just cutthroat. It's dog eat dog in that world.
But don't they all somewhat belong to some kind of like fraternity of elites and whatnot? So it's like
yeah, they belong to a fraternity of elites where they all kill each other and drink each other's blood. Absolutely.
But I mean, like, don't they have to like somewhat higher up? They have to answer to somewhat. So it's like,
it's just like the people. They don't mind the people killing each other as long as you don't kill the top dude.
I see. It's really interesting when you sit back and like really watch it all happen.
Yeah, it's and some people, like, I think some people are allowed in Hollywood just to be fed off of. You know
Hmm.
what I mean?
After
And
all, sorry, go ahead.
it's just about knowing the game, learning the game, how much you know. And can you be more cutthroat? Will you shed more blood than him?
After all the claims about Diddy, right? Then you had Jamie Foxx and then Bill Cosby, Cuba Gooding Jr., Jimmy Iovine, L.A. Reid, Axl Rose, Vin Diesel. There's like people were coming out with claims left and right. Like they were just coming out the woodwork. It was crazy. Like, what did you think? Was that just a witch hunt or a cash grab? Like, what do you think is going on?
Like the Me Too movement,
Yeah.
you're
Well,
saying?
like, yeah, but it's just like a resurgence almost like right now.
Oh,
Like,
right now. I
yeah.
know. I think part of it is stuff is being exposed. You know what I mean? It's like that's there's a lot of disclosure happening right now. So that's partly to do with it. But when something like the Diddy situation is publicized like heavily, especially on TMZ, like TMZ Lies, I wonder.
When you see these people suddenly just blow up in fame, like just like overnight almost, right? What do you think that is a situation where it was planned previously? Like they were already approached by somebody powerful and was like, hey, we're gonna get you, you know what I mean, to that next level if you agree to be our person, or like do you even believe in any organic fame anymore?
Um, Not really. No. I mean, it can happen, but no, I don't.
Because so much of it seems like, I don't know, when you really like break it down, it just seems like so crazy. Like when you even look at some of these artists, right, that have like no talent, that all of a sudden they were discovered on the internet, by somebody. And I don't understand like why they get pushed as heavy as they do when there's so many talented people out there. I don't know if it's like a
Because
specific gimmick or like what is it?
yeah, because they're willing to do what the others aren't, and they don't want talented people at the forefront with influence and power.
So my friend Cuban Link told me this story of when he attended a Diddy party back in the days, right? And he saw people so openly engaging in homosexual activities, people you wouldn't think would be. He said it wasn't Diddy, but other famous people, I believe. What have you heard about these Diddy parties? Because there's so many rumors about it. They're like people make jokes about it, like, oh yeah, them Diddy parties, you know.
Yeah, well, one, I don't know if I told you this last time, or I may have said this on TikTok. I was told that there was a party in Vegas. Cassie, Chris Brown were there, a bunch of other people, and Diddy just stripped butt naked and was like, "Everybody take your clothes off." And then I heard that Cassie was like crying, and I don't know what else happened, but
Wow. Yeah, some of them things with Cassie has not aged very well. I mean, especially when you break down the lawsuit. You know, there was a video that resurfaced recently where she's like covered up on the blanket and she's on the ground and like he's like filming her and he's like saying these
yeah.
crazy things, right? And then like the claims about how when she was dating Kid Cudi for a brief moment in like 2012, like Diddy allegedly threatened to blow up his car and then his car was
Hmm.
lit on fire outside
Yeah.
his house.
Yeah.
You know, so it's a lot of stuff, man. Yeah, it's
I mean,
crazy.
I think he was pimping Cassie out for sure. I mean, she came out saying that he was sex trafficking her,
Right.
but
That she was asked to look on like websites for some um B BBCs and whatnot. And Diddy's old bodyguard said that, he asked the question, he said, do you think that was only for Cassie or do you think that was for Diddy as well?
oh yeah,
So I mean, because
uh,
when I was talking to my friend Cuban Link, former Terror Squad, he said he's all like, when you feel like you're in control, like you're the maestro of, hey, I'm making that happen for my girl. I'm bringing
mm-hmm,
somebody in and getting her, fucked basically.
mm-hmm,
It makes you feel like some people get off on that, like they're like
yeah,
really nasty like that.
yeah. I'm sorry. Say that again.
like
I'm
like
so sorry.
basically the rumors are, the alleged rumors are that, he's hiring people, male prostitutes to come in and fuck her basically, right, in front of him.
Yeah.
And so my friend Cuban Link is saying basically like some people really get off on that. Like, I have the power, I'm making it happen, because the normal person would be like, I'm not letting anybody, get off on my girl. Yeah, you know, basically. But when you feel like you have power over that situation and you're making it happen, some people actually like that. They feel,
Yeah, it is a position of power,
It's very strange.
Real quick, I didn't know you were friends with Cuban Link. Does he still have beef with Fat Joe?
Oh my gosh, do you not know who I am?
No, I'm sorry.
I'm the main platform that Cuban is on all the time. Every interview, I got a show with Cuban called the Lincoln Panda Show, basically, where we talk about current hip hop events.
Oh shit.
And basically in the last year, I've covered so much beef between Cuban and Terror Squad and Fat Joe and everything. That's why Joe doesn't like me, and he got my YouTube channel taken down.
Makes sense. Hey, let's go. No.
And he's made calls behind the scenes that have done, certain things that, and that's why most people don't know what I look like.
Smart.
Well, this is a good segue. You're so smart. See, you just know when something's coming. Fat Joe recently came out and said that he has lied in 95% of his rhymes.
Yo. Okay. So you lied about your destruction. You lied about like feeding the youth this bullshit. This wasn't your art that you were talking about was oppressive and you're just talking to rise of it out of the ashes. No, you fucking liar. So you cannot tell me now that hip hop has not been destroying us.
And so, for the longest time, there were also rumors that everybody was writing for Fat Joe anyways, writing his rhymes for him, right?
Oh, really?
Yeah. Like Big Pun was primarily one of them, and other Terror Squad members.
Yeah.
But with him, he recently sold his catalog, is the thing, right? And he's making political moves. You see him with Kamala Harris, right? He's with Ruben Diaz.
Word?
Yeah. And
it's like, hell no.
Yeah, so he's been really trying to clean up his image.
Videos.
He's really cleaning up his image. And you've lived in New York, so what do you think about all of that?
It looks like he's really getting inducted to the next level.
Right. And I mean, he's, that happened after a lot of this started to happen after he joined Rock Nation, like 6-7 years ago or whatever it is. So Cuban was telling me, he was all like, come on, you don't see the move already, like of like trying to clean up the image and then you're trying to go into the next level. He calls him a beluga whale, right? Because the bald head and everything. So his whole thing is like the beluga whale got tired of playing in this little pond. He ate all the frogs and everything and everybody already. Now he wants to move over to this next lake or whatever, and he's trying to go in that direction.
Yeah, I can tell. Yeah.
It's really interesting because to say that you lied in 95% of your rhymes, man, and the reputation has always been like, I'm not saying he's not a really tough guy at all, but with the rhymes have always been very like, I'm gonna kill you, like, those type of things. So it's just
yeah.
It's interesting. But after he said that, and he said it on, like a very big platform, then he posted on social media the other 5%, and it's like a very old picture of him with a gun pointing at the camera. So it's kind of like the double play, like, I don't know. It's very interesting.
Now you can tell when someone has changed. You know what I mean? Like they've made a complete 180 turn, this repentant kind of vibration. But that you could tell he's just wants more fame.
Yeah. And by the way, Cuban enjoyed your interview, and he said, I think I'm in love with Tina. Oh! Something along those lines. I just want to let you know. Okay.
Tell us what's up. Thank you for watching.
Some time has passed now, but people are still really skeptical about what really happened between Megan Thee Stallion and Tory Lanez, right? What do you think? Why do you think people are not believing her that she actually got shot by Tory?
Because she looks like she's lying in the interview. You could tell. One, and people can feel again. Everybody, as we continue to elevate and ascend in consciousness, more people are stepping into their clairvoyant abilities. Everybody has some type of clairvoyant ability, and people can see through the bullshit now. You know what I mean? So we can just kind of see it.
Yeah, that one interview with Gail was a real bad look. Like that was a
That's what
real
I'm
bad
talking
look.
about. Like you could tell she's lying. You're not resonating on truth at all. On top of it, Tory Lanez was breaking out independently and making moves independently. So of course the label that he signed to is going to get threatened and scared, you know? And then he was going to change the game for everybody, so they had to take him down.
So you think that he really didn't shoot her? I mean, I know she lied about the sexual part of their relationship, but you don't think that that was true, that he had something to do with that at all? You think it was the best friend that did it?
I don't know. I mean, I think he was set up. He could have he could have possibly pulled the trigger. They may have gotten it on video, but I think the whole thing was a setup. And I don't think Meg Thee Stallion actually got shot in the foot.
But they found bullet fragments though, right?
Who said that?
I think the doctor or I know she said it for sure.
Oh, which doctor? She said it? And which doctor said it? Like Dr. Fauci, that kind of doctor?
Right. Now I think you also said on Threads, right, that you feel that they're gonna clone Tory soon. What made you want to say that?
Yeah, I got a feeling. So I'm let me thread this shit.
So a lot of stuff that you say is not always just like, oh, like I have proof and facts, but it's more of like I have like I'm really tapped in to like, you know, vibes and everything, and I'm sharing.
And this is why when Kanye said I don't read, I'm like, I got it when he said that, because a lot of us are tapping into the quantum field. We're pulling information from the quantum field where that is like, and really whatever truth is here, like that's and you resonate, you can feel it, you know? Like we've read the Bible all my life. I read the Bible all my life growing up, but I'm going back and I'm looking at some bullshit that I was programmed into, you know what I mean? That I was told was truth. So rather than trying to fish for evidence, because that can get clouded, you know what I mean? And people can make up evidence. We have, stuff online is now, reality is being skewed. So the only way to really, really know the truth is to use your intuition and your gut instinct.
Yeah, I think that we have definitely been programmed to move away from our intuition, that gut feeling, right? And it's crazy how just like we're programmed to be sheep. You know, I'm afraid to not be called out about something, so I'm just gonna like what people tell me to like. I'm just gonna do whatever people tell me to do. If you move away from that, all of a sudden you see a flock just ready to pounce on you because you're you're doing the uncommon thing, basically.
Yep, the black sheep. Yep.
Yeah, it's crazy. So what is the situation with Cardi B? Because you've been pretty vocal about her and criticize her. Like, do you feel the same way about Nicki Minaj? Like, what, just female rappers in general, or what is it?
I mean, all around, yes. I mean, Nicki can vocally spit. We know that. You know what I mean? She was the first one on the scene that kind of paved the way for this. Cardi B is just a fraud flat out. I did her makeup back in 2013. And I was doing her makeup. She was the first stripper I ever met. And she was complaining to me that men didn't respect her because of what she did. And she was actually like, we vibed. She was cool. She was a cool girl when I met her. And next thing you know, Smack White walks in the room and he looks at me and he's like, I want to shoot you. And in front of her, right? To doing her makeup. And I was like, nah, I'm not here for that.
Wait. Smack?
Yeah. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
So, and I was like, nah, I'm not here for that. And so I was like, but I'm an artist. And I started talking my shit in front of her. And at the time I was working with Ali Vegas from Queens. And next thing you know, all these dudes started coming around and gathering around, like paying me, like yapping me, paying me respect. she picked up on that, you know? So shortly after that, she went on and, you know, we even followed each other back then. And I used to see her videos. I'm like, yo, her videos were funny. You know, she really had some hood truths, and that's how she, you know, made some waves. And I think what happened is she decided to start making music because she wanted to gain respect like me. And then got onto Love and Hip Hop because she had a social media following. Now, mind you, I've been approached by Love and Hip Hop too, twice. And I just, you know, don't want to do that shit, especially like the dudes that were wanting me to be their boyfriends. And I was like, nah, I'm good. Um, so, and then that just kind of, you know, and of course, she is someone that comes from a certain vibration. So she's going to.
Wait. Tina, I'm sorry. Just the idea of picturing you on Love and Hip Hop just seems so crazy to me. Like I just could not
Right?
see you in that kind of setting. Like, it would be so crazy to see
This
you
was
getting
back
into a fight with
2015.
somebody. I just couldn't see it. Bitch, I just couldn't see it.
Oh, I stand up for myself. That's the thing.
I
You know
know,
what I
but
mean?
like, I mean, so much of it is scripted, right? Like, so much is like really
Yeah, well, reality TV, it's like partly scripted, and then you also get to be yourself
right.
doing whatever you're doing. So, but I just like even back then, like I'm like reality TV, ill, no, you know what I mean? Like that's, but she you know made waves somehow, and then I think through her blood connections. Now, keep in mind that's how a lot of these hip hop records pop is through the gang stuff, and you
Mhm.
see all that, and I think you know, somebody just invested in her. They put this song out and just shit kind of took off.
So with Nikki though, right? You respect her talent as far as that she can rap, right? But then you
Yes.
have the situation with like her husband and then her brother and kind of the things that you know what I'm talking about, right? With
Yeah,
like
yeah,
yeah,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
and defending that, right? Like that's a wow kind of situation.
Yeah. I mean, at the end of the day, I don't respect her all the way because she's still, you know, part of that whole thing, you know? Like all that female beef is fake. It's all, you know, a bunch of made up stories to bring in attention. So I don't know. I mean, I don't like, I haven't really delved too much into her lately and her whole situation with her brother and stuff, but I know that, yeah, I mean, family will defend family, you know?
Yeah, but when you're doing those kind of things
What were they doing exactly?
well, it's involves children,
Okay.
and then the other her husband is I believe
Okay. Well, they all do that in Hollywood.
yeah yeah I guess you got a point
It's the
there.
norm in there. Yeah.
When you look at these new women coming up like Ruby Rose and Ice Spice and Sexy Red. You've been very critical of Sexy Red, right? But like Ice Spice is on stage, the ass is fully hanging out, and you know, what do you feel about seeing that this is the representation of what female hip hop is now?
It's terrible.
I mean,
It's
especially because like you know how like before it was such a big deal if like you even had like a sex tape come out or you had a nude photo or something, right? Now everybody has the OnlyFans. Like that's the hustle, like a real hustle now, right?
well,
Like
yeah.
it's
And
crazy in a way that that's the
it's
norm.
and it's an agenda to deplete people of their energy because you keep them focused on sex and it's just depletes your energy. There's no creation happening. So that's what, and then when you hypersexualize your youth, it's actually you're sexually abusing them mentally. But by the time they're 18, they will be subordinate citizens who will not be able to stand up for civil rights and individual liberties.
Yeah, like you know, like with the addiction, like you know, young kids coming up being addicted to like porn or like just like the over sexualization, you know, because I mean like YouTube Instagram is like borderline soft core, like with the stuff that you see with these girls posting on there, right? These models and everything. It's pretty crazy. And you have these kids growing up, this being the norm that they're seeing. It's like your self-control cannot be very much after that.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. By the time they're 18, they become subordinate citizens on top of their energy being depleted.
Yeah. What do you hope is going to change? Do you see any hope of things changing, or do you think that it's just going to get worse from here?
Absolutely. Nah, that's what I came to Earth for.
Wait. What do you mean by that? What do you mean?
I was sent to Earth, like many of us, to collect data, to learn, to experience, to grow, to learn how to deal with this emotional state, but to also raise the vibrational frequency of the planet. So by the time I die, this place will be a better place.
So are you saying that this is the reason you were born, or you're saying you came from a different planet, or what are you saying exactly?
I absolutely can't come from a different planet. I mean, I'm all of us have cosmic origin in us. We don't know. Humans are actually hybrid beings. We have all kinds of DNA in us. So I started having recollections of my cosmic origins back in 2015, and this stuff started happening after 2012, my spiritual awakening, like just knowing who I am as this Pleiadian person. I resonate more with my Pleiadian. I don't know why in this lifetime I'm so connected to that specific lifetime. I think it's meant to assist my mission here on Earth. But, that's just, and a lot of us, part of this community, we're coming together and we call ourselves Star Seeds. And I don't even want to put us into one group because everybody is that, and everybody is awakening. Everybody's coming to a place of higher consciousness and understanding. And, it's just the planet is actually getting better. So even though it might seem like hip hop is destroying it, I want to say that in actuality, I might be talking about it because I have to. It's part of my purpose and mission, but the planet is getting better.
So, the average person that watches this and sees you saying that is going to think that you're crazy, right?
Absolutely.
Well, what is your response to that?
I don't have a response. Take it as you will. Your perception is simply a reflection of your own vibration. So whatever you think is actually a reflection of yourself.
Do you know who Kid Buu is?
Yeah.
Right. I interviewed him, right? And he
Word.
said that he remembers this experience of seeing a UFO in the sky and having communication and basically having this like realizing that he came from somewhere else and similar things to what you're saying right now. Man, roll the clip.
I had an encounter with a UFO. My mom's boyfriend, Robert, at the time, and I both encountered this. And coincidentally, it was right before I had just finished praying to God to send me a sign to help a man that I just met moments before that, who admitted to me that he was an atheist. And I never met anyone before in my life that ever said they didn't believe in a God. So it kind of struck a little fear into me. I didn't know what to say or do. I kind of just got away from the guy as far as possible. But after leaving, I was like praying, like, Father God, I'm supposed to be a servant of you and use the word of God to help people like this who are blind, to help them see the light. And I said, send me a sign, anything. And moments after is when the UFO sighting happened. I thought it was two suns at the same time until one of them just disappeared at quicker than anything I've ever seen anything move. But right before it did that, it transmitted a telepathic message to me saying that the man that I had just met was not blind and that my prayer was heard, but that now we are in a time where the veil shall be removed from the eyes of man. And it disappeared after that.
When did you realize that you came from somewhere else? Like, was it something in particular that made you feel that way?
Yeah, I had one memory that I was like, what? It was like a vision that flashed before my eyes, like in the daytime. And I was in a space station above Earth. And I was talking to this man who had like this gray hair and these glasses. And he was like, you got to go back. And I was like, nah. And he's like, yeah, we need you. And I just remember being really sad that I had to go back in time to help because I knew I'm a person who counts the cost. I know what I'm getting into before I commit to anything. And I knew that this journey and this lifetime was going to be difficult. And sure enough, it has been, but it's been worth it.
Have you had this conversation with your family?
Yes.
And how did they feel about it?
At first, they were kind of looking at me like, I remember like kind of just going off on them one day when I was like, I'm not from this planet. Like, I'm very emotional. So I'll just like spout stuff off and like,
You're an
but
Aries. You're very fiery. We
that
know.
too, that too. But then all of a sudden, they started coming into their cosmic recollections and origins. So now my other family members we're on the same page.
What do you feel like about the whole cloning thing, the cloning talk, right? Because like we talked about Kid Buu, he had a big viral moment when he said he was a clone, and
Yeah.
man, roll a clip. Well, so since you brought it up, so that was like 4.5 years ago, right? You went on Vlad and you created this viral moment where I think it got 3.5 million views on that first episode and that first clip, and it was you talking about being a clone and the name the company Clonaid, and then your model number, and what was like Vlad's reaction on the other side of the camera, like when you're saying all this?
So Vlad's reaction is the same reaction you get all the time, which is the back of an iPad or iMac. He's on a computer. He's not actually in the room. So that's fucking really weird.
Oh wow.
Yeah, you're not actually talking to a human. There's a human in the room, but the human is controlling the laptop for Vlad. So it's like really weird. It was ironic. I was like, whatever. That's that. Um, the 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 mentioning of Clonate is real. It's a real company. Sophia, I don't know where, and I'm gonna say this because I got visited by real life men in black about like real niggas in suits, bro. Like about this. Because I name dropped an individual that is wanted on their list as one of the people on their top priority. I do not know where Sophia is at. Have I met Sophia? Yes. The same thing I told the agents that came to the house. I have met her. I met her on American soil. So if you guys didn't even know she was here, I don't mean to laugh, but hey, like she was here. It was at a seminar. She may still be here. I don't know. Do I know where she is now? No. Will I tell you if I knew? No. And those are all both honest, me being honest. I don't know where she is, but even if I do, I wouldn't say.
And for the
And the
people that
model,
don't know, Sophia is a scientist, right? She's like 80 something years old.
yes,
She's the one
yes,
that contributed to cloning Eve. Is that right?
yes,
Okay.
yes, that's
And
correct.
Eve is the baby that Clonaid had claimed to have cloned, right?
Allegedly the first
Yes.
human that they cloned successfully.
And so you said that you got visited by federal agents asking about her whereabouts because cloning is illegal in the US, right?
Yeah, and I was on camera with like the utmost sincerity, like I'm a clone. My model number is 0112568.
What do you think about cloning in general?
Well, anyone who's been cloned, well, actually, no. I think it's definitely real. When I was at the Grammy after party in 2017, my publicist introduced me to Will I Am, and he comes, and I remember being so excited. I'm like, the Will I Am, right? And my first thought was like, he was so soulless. My first thought was, this is a clone. He looked at me like in uniform order, like, turned around, took the picture with me, turned around, like nodded, and then just walked off. And I was like, what was that?
Wasn't that because I saw you put this somewhere? I don't know if it was Threads or something else, but you were talking about. I remember meeting a clone for the first time. Was that what you were talking about? Okay.
Yeah, that was Will I Am.
And
That
have you met anybody else that you believe to be a clone?
I don't know, not any celebrities, but it's possible there could be like like human flesh clone type bodies walking around that we don't even realize.
Like, what do you think about the whole Jamie Foxx thing? Right after he got sick, like a lot of people felt like he was a clone. Like this wasn't the real Jamie Foxx.
It looks like a clone. And even the Kanye clone, the one running around with Bianca and other homegirl, that doesn't look like the real Kanye.
Yeah. Okay.
There's just something is off, you can tell. But I don't know. It's like, that's all left to speculation. I just know my personal experience, my thought that I had when I was introduced to Will I Am. That was like, I wasn't sitting there speculating. It was like it was the first thought, you know?
Because a lot of people say these things about like Eminem and like, you know, other celebrities that they feel like,
Also, Janelle Monáe was doing an interview for that movie. What was that movie that she was in? I forgot the name of it. Knives Out, I think. It's one of those movies. And she was like, the interviewer was like, so how do you do all these things? You know, film, your music performer, blah, 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 blah. And she's like, well, I have a clone. I have a clone for film. I have a clone for music. And she was like, with a straight face. And she's like, yeah.
wow, that's crazy.
Have you ever seen that?
No, I have never seen that.
Go look it up.
Wow, that's insane. So my audience is primarily men, and they were happy to see me have a guest that is not a man with you, right? And they wanted to know, are you currently in a relationship?
Yes.
Okay. And what do you look for in a man?
Consistency, communication, and commitment.
Wow, that's a lot of C's.
Yeah, those are top three.
Top three. And what do you feel about like these things, you know, that we see on the internet today about what women say that they look for? You know, some of the things that go viral.
Oh, like they a man with money and blah blah blah,
Right,
this
exactly.
and that.
Yeah.
You know, it's just unfortunate that those women don't see it within themselves to get what they want, and that they need to tap into somebody else to get what they want. You know.
So for you, it's kind of like you're looking for the content of someone's character. Obviously, you can get it yourself, right? But
Absolutely.
you want somebody that is also focused and about their business, and that's not just being a boy.
Yeah.
Just, you know,
Exactly. And really, I mean, I like someone who's accomplished.
Mm-hmm.
You know, got to, and that speaks of someone and shows what, you know, who they are as a person. Not that all like success is, you know, deems that this person is a good character or whatever, but to me, that's important.
Is the person that you're currently dating in the business?
Yes.
And how does he react to you exposing things and then the times that you're saying stuff?
At first, we were butting heads. Now, things have changed. And as more has unraveled, even more of what he's been privy to and seen and experienced, we've even shared stories. And, you know, we can come to pretty good conclusions.
Can you reveal, not the name, but the line of work, music exec or like producer, like artist?
Musical director, sound engineer, having to do with frequency and vibration.
And then how does he feel about what you're saying with frequency?
I mean, it's spot on.
So
you know?
he understands exactly what you're saying about the lower vibration and the music and everything.
He's even revealed to me that you can kill somebody. You can make somebody go into cardiac arrest with low frequency. So hence the Astro World situation.
What do you feel about the whole political movement right now that is going on? Do you feel like whoever's in office really makes a difference, or do you feel like it's just their puppets?
Yeah, it's all controlled. It don't make no difference. I mean, we don't fully know. I mean, it's two wings of one bird, for sure. We could have infiltrators. We don't know. But from what we see, it's all, you know, when I went and voted, I went and wrote Kanye's name in the ballot.
I mean, do you think that he would be even like able to run the country?
No.
You just want somebody that's different that would shake things up?
No, because I know it's bullshit.
Gotcha. Okay.
It's a joke.
Right. That's interesting. Wow. I mean, it would be crazy to imagine that he could do it, you know. But you know,
I mean,
sorry, go ahead.
First and foremost, Americans need to know that we're not under the country of America. We are ruled by the U.S. corporation, and we're actually collateral for the U.S. government. So we don't even know the government state that we're actually in.
Why do you think it is that like whenever anything needs to be done for the U.S. citizen, they're always doing a back and forth, right? Like remember the stimulus checks was a big deal, right? It took forever for them to approve. But when another country needs help, overnight, we're sending billions of dollars, like just like it's nothing, you know? Why is that?
Well, they need to maintain what I feel is, the mainstream media narratives to keep distraction, control, and at the end of the day, we know we're not like, they don't care about us, you know, they
And
just
you know, and
don't.
I bring this up because it seems like we're always kept in a state of desperation, right? Like we're like if you're like in a state of need and state of being scared, it's easier to control you. And that creates a us versus them mentality where, we're divided. It's so and so's fault, this race's fault, or, it's this group's fault why we don't have what we need. You're coming into our country, you're not legal, blah, 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 right? And recently, people took jabs at you saying, "Oh, you're Nicaraguan. This is what your country really looks like, and stay out of our business, right?" Stay. So, and I know you had a little fun with that.
I did. And listen, when I say something and I'm arguing, people have to like understand. I will look at you and I will use whatever data I can to use against you. You know what I mean? So it's not that I know what will hit, obviously I shouldn't be arguing with people, but sometimes I get into it because I do enjoy a little, little debate. But I'm sorry, what was the question again?
Of just like how it's always a us versus them mentality because of us feeling so desperate all the time, and it's easier because of like the close proximity for us to point at, oh, so and so is at fault. This is why our reality is this way, instead of being
Yeah.
like, no, it's the U.S. government that has created this division.
Hmm. And what about that?
No, I'm just saying that like
Oh,
that
sorry.
right. I'm just saying that like us being desperate, or being in a state of
Oh,
fear is
yeah,
always
yeah.
making us feel
That's exactly why they keep, they keep us, it's like they keep us here, just enough, but then we're angry but they give us just enough.
right. Yeah, it's and then how did you feel about that when that quote unquote fan hit you with that picture?
Um, I felt so much love in my heart, and it's like the little girl in that photo, like I felt that was me. I'm like, because this is where my people have come from, and this is where, and oh, everybody is my people, really, at the end of the day. But because my family is from this country, it hit home, it struck a chord, and I didn't find it offensive. I just knew he didn't understand.
Yeah, because it went back to a whole thing of like, you're not black, so you shouldn't speak on black matters, and you should stick to your own country, right? Like that was the whole argument. And I feel like, especially when you're in hip hop or anything like that, it creates a lot of times people, that's the low hanging fruit almost. Like that's the first thing that is gone to.
Oh, to attack your like identity exterior.
Right.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying is that's why racism is bullshit because really when it's like two humans against each other, you're going to point out the first thing. You know what I mean? Like say I'm arguing with a Chinese man, oh you blah 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 blah. When really it's not even about that, it's about the issue underlying. Now we're just using whatever we can to insult each other.
Yeah, it deviates from what we're really talking about at the end of the day, right? And it's like I said, it's almost like it's low hanging fruit versus let's have a real conversation about what is there. Let's have an intellectual conversation from what is there, and we can debate. We can have difference of opinion, but maybe we could walk away with respect and maybe not change our minds or anything, but have respect for why people might view things a certain way.
Exactly, because we all come from different backgrounds, experiences. Like we don't know, you know what I mean? We've all collected a certain type of data that gives us this filter and how we move about the earth and how we comprehend things and how we experience. So really the more understanding we have, it's like I'm trying to step into a space of more understanding rather than condemnation, judgment, because it's a better place to be. It's a better feeling for me. And I'm like, you know what? Rather than making a conclusion about this, in particular with my brother, with the person who was in front of me, not some celebrity on a screen. I want to understand.
You know, and that's the thing, is like with the internet is like people will say the craziest things, right? I some of the things that I've seen people say to me directly on the internet, I've never experienced in person. Like nobody will say that. Like I haven't received like either as racist comments or anything like that in front of me. So it's like, it's kind of, sometimes I feel like you have to take it with a grain of salt because people feel that courage to say anything when you're not face to face.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, people are definitely more bold online.
and why do you think that is? Why do you think that people feel like they can do that?
Because you're not face to face. You know what I mean? And it's just much easier to, and even through text, you know what I mean? It's easier to spout off than to, and now that you're asking me that, I'm like, I got to think about that. Like, why is it so much easier?
Because it's
online?
almost like, you know, someone once explained it to me. It's almost like road rage, but online road rage, where you take your frustrations out on somebody and you don't view them as an actual person. It's just a name.
Yeah.
It's just like,
There you go.
you take,
Yeah.
because we're all going through something in life, right? And people
Yeah.
have different outlets to take it out on. Because sometimes I wonder, I'm like, how can people be so hateful online? Like you can make content
Yeah.
even just about your kids, and people will say "F your kids" and I hope they die. You know, like it's crazy the things that people will say, and it sometimes
Yeah.
it makes you lose like hope in humanity almost to a certain extent, like how heartless people can be.
Yeah, I think a lot of that too has been bots.
Mm,
So, and then we as humans just kind of follow in behavior. We're like lemmings, you know?
yeah, it's crazy. Well, Tina, this is another one for the books for sure. I just want to thank you so much again for your time.
Thank you, Panda.
Do you have anything to say to the fans before we go ahead and wrap it up?
Yes. At the core of our being, I want to reiterate, we are spirit. We are all one. We possess a soul which consists of our mind, will, and emotions, which is our singular soul imprint on this planet. And we simply live in a body. And if you want to learn about money manifestation, I'm going to be starting a series on my TikTok so that people can start rising above, because it's not about fighting the system. It's not about, you know, trying to get the government to lower taxes. It's none of that. It's about tapping into your abundant flow to become depolarized. We're not triggered by this anymore. We're not angry about this anymore, but we're now in a centered state, balanced. And all of us who are centered and balanced can now channel and pull. We can bring heaven on earth and light this planet up for the better.
That's a very powerful message. Thank you so much, Tina.
Thank you.